I want to talk about personal responsibility, or more specifically, the lack thereof. We are, I believe, witnessing a profound shift in how individuals perceive and approach the concept of personal responsibility. The notion of taking ownership for one's actions, decisions, and their consequences, which once stood as a cornerstone of character and integrity, seems to be eroding in today's society. At the heart of this issue lies a growing culture of blame shifting and victimhood. More and more, we see people quick to point fingers, assigning fault to external circumstances, other individuals, or societal structures, rather than looking inward. Whether it's blaming the economy for their own poor financial decisions, social media for relationship problems, or systemic issues for personal shortcomings, the tendency to deflect responsibility has become alarmingly common. While external factors do play a role in our lives, they don't absolve us of the responsibility for our own choices and actions. A key factor contributing to the decline of personal responsibility is the increasing reliance on external authorities and systems to manage our lives. From government programs designed to address individual hardships to corporate policies that seek to mitigate employee failures, there's a growing expectation that someone else will step in to solve our problems. While those systems can provide much needed support, they can also foster a sense of dependency that undermines personal responsibility. Think about that from a demolition and construction perspective. Workers are bombarded with reminders, particularly in the sphere of health and safety. There are toolbox talks, pre start briefings, safety meetings. Workers are reminded to stay hydrated, given sun cream, and are constantly reminded of potential hazards and pitfalls that might await them. Personally, I believe that this constant bombardment has caused some workers to absolve themselves from any form of accountability and personal responsibility. They see a hazard, but they don't report it because they believe, perhaps wrongly, that someone else will pick it up. They won't make a suggestion about how a task might be performed more safely or more quickly because it's not in their job description. Over the course of decades, we've evolved away from an all hands to the pump mentality to a it's not my job mentality. And is this a rod we've made for our own backs? Having defined just about every task on a demolition or construction site by a coloured competence card, have we brainwashed individuals into believing they must do only what it says on their card? Have we instilled a feeling of responsibility fatigue with our constant barrage of do's and don'ts? Or do we live in an age in which all problems, issues, and challenges now belong to someone else? Whatever the cause, it has worrying consequences for the demolition and construction industry. For decades, the sector has worked on the basis that everyone is pulling together, that everyone will do the task assigned to them to the best of their ability, that everyone will take responsibility for their actions. In day to day life, a refusal to take personal responsibility is just another traditional value that appears to be lost. In demolition and construction, that failure to take personal responsibility could cost someone their life. And just one other quick final point. Having spent a bit of time thinking about this subject, I'm now wondering if the industry has inadvertently created an atmosphere of safety fatigue. After the Live Aid concert back in 1985, there was a lot of talk about compassion fatigue. We'd all been exposed to so many images of starving African children that it had rendered us numb. I now wonder if we've done the same thing with all of our talk of health and safety. Not saying we should do away with it. I wonder if you're constantly bombarded sooner or later, I think you just become numb. I also believe that we've deliberately or otherwise bred a generation of workers that have simply absolved themselves of all responsibility. PPE, company will provide that. Water on a hot day, company will provide that. Sun cream, the company will provide that. I was listening to a podcast recently in which a couple of retired footballers were explaining how hard they found it to adjust to normal life post football. For 20 years or so, their every move had been managed. They were told where to be and when. Their meals were prepared for them. When all of that was taken away, they were lost. And I wonder if we have a workforce that is kind of lost. They've surrendered all responsibility to the powers that be and are now basically unable to think for themselves.